Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Modern Farming Podcast, brought to you by Green Gene Foundation, where we are cultivating agricultural excellence every day.
We're your hosts, Chris and Tara, and together we're growing knowledge about the world that feeds us.
That's right, Tara. Today, we'd like to introduce the guy, Zack Farr. He's the co-founder and CEO of Biotech Applied Research, or BAR, here in Florida. A real new cutting-edge technology that he's going to showcase for us today. So welcome, Zack. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hey, guys. Chris, Tara, thank you for having me. Thank you, Green Gene Foundation, for this opportunity. And for the listeners, my name is Zack Farr. I'm a third-generation citrus grower, redneck entrepreneur, born and raised in Central Florida, and had the privilege of representing Biotech Applied Research as the CEO and one of the co-founders. And we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization headquartered in Central Florida with a mission to create collaborative environments to focus efforts on solving some of these sustainability challenges that a lot of these communities are facing. So privileged to be here.
So you said you're a third generation grower. You've lived through the citrus downfall here in Florida with the greening disease. So is that what kind of drove you to start thinking in other ways to interact with agriculture and different things in Florida?
My father is an exceptional citrus grower, and he works for one of the largest in the nation. He's semi-retired now. I grew up in the groves. I worked in the groves, in the early 2000s, back when citrus was at its peak. The smell of blossoming citrus oranges was abundant, and so was the economy in Central Florida, or the decimation of it over the last 2 decades. You witness not only the decline of family businesses, but the economy as a whole. And in 2020, during COVID, is when I was trying to really find an alternative crop. And we came across industrial hemp for textiles and manufacturing. And Henry Ford's first car was made out of industrial hemp. So it's like, this makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of land. Let's try to grow it. So we were growing it for a couple of years. And then it was in 2023. I don't know if you could see my screen here.
Yep.
But we realized we had one particular plot of land where the plants grew 12 feet tall in about 60 days. And the rest of it was fallow, no irrigation. This was in Zafo Springs. And we did some soil tests and realized that it was on top of an old citrus burn pile. Potash and carbon stayed in the ground. Ironically, it was right around that time where somebody told me about biochar. And I guess you could say the rest is history. One thing led to another. And now we're privileged to say we're the first organization, nonprofit in the nation that has a fully mobile wood to biochar processing operation. So we take about 100 tons of equipment across Florida and create a sustainable methodology that others can utilize to reduce the biomass, but also create a high value product at the back end.
You mentioned biochar. Can you explain what that is?
One of the first things I heard about biochar was that it's the oldest new thing, which you've never heard of. How it was found was back when Herman Cortez came across the ocean blue. He sent a group of people down the Amazon Basin River. And one of those people was a monk, writing the story. And they found a civilization, I think, in the 1550s. The civilization, he was very impressed by how big it was and how he was so surprised that it was there. Fast forward 100 years, another group came and that civilization was gone. And then if you fast forward to the 1980s or early 90s, a university from Northeast United States went down there and they started digging, and they found carbon layers upon layers, 6 feet of black soil and remnants of an ancient civilization that was built upon that black soil. This has been around for thousands of years. What we're trying to do now, since we know the value of carbon, is speed it up and make it happen in a number of hours. The easiest way to explain what it is, to answer your question, is it's a stable form of organic carbon, which is what biochar is. It's stable, it's organic, and 1 gram of this, I don't have any with me if you want to show your little piece that you took from yesterday. Yeah, so that piece right there, if you had tinctures and you unfolded it like an onion, that would cover the size of a football field. So it's extremely porous. About 300 meters of surface area is inside of that little piece of charcoal. That is what allows phosphorus and the nitrogen and the nutrients to grasp onto it. And once it grasps onto it, it moves inside of it. So we like to consider it a carbon condominium for the soil. And it
Mhm.
also holds 6 times its weight in water. So it's an exceptional water holding and nutrient holding technology, and it filters water too. Circular nutrient management model that we've been pitching to kind of, get some excitement utilizing wood waste, local waterways, and then local farmers to kind of make a circular economy, all utilizing wood that was probably going to be burned or rot.
The couple things that really hit me about biochar, we hear all the time about all the nitrogen, phosphorus pollution that goes into our waterways. And Florida's terrible about it because we have sandy soil. So everything just runs right out your sand and right into the water table. And what most people do when their grass loses that nutrient, starts turning brown, their solution is pour more nutrients on it and thus add more to the waterways. And if you could just use some of that stuff that Tara just showed, ground up in with your seeding and your fertilizing, you would retain that. Say it help the environment and help your pocket, because now you only have to put in the fertilizer half as much. And I think that's a great application. That's really where your pitch is, right? Keep the water clean it up, and help keep the nutrients where they need to be.
How do you show the farmers that this is going to be a benefit to them?
Kind of like Henry Ford when he created the car, right? He was doing races to prove the speed of the vehicle. And the same thing here is like what we've been doing is anything we can possibly think of that just so happens to come across our plate. We had a delegation from Japan fly in September last year because they wanted to see biochar in field trial applications with ag producers. So that was a way for us to provide biochar at no cost to blueberry growers, bamboo growers, citrus growers. We went to the University of Florida and saw our trials that are currently going on in their citrus department. And we are working very, very much in depth with pretty much every university in the state of Florida. And with Florida's programs, though, they're really adamant about water retention and nutrient retention. In a horticulture market, they are seeing signs, visible signs of water and nutrient retention. And then in the citrus department, 20, 30, and 50 pounds of biochar per tree. So a very big amount. And then we're also mixing it with a compost, like an 80-20 compost, 80% compost, 20% biochar. And, we try to provide as much as we can to farmers who are willing to try it and provide results. And the same thing with university. Every university in Florida is trying to utilize waste and carbon. Nobody from a university perspective, a farmer perspective, water filtration, steel manufacturing have said this doesn't work. We're just at the cusp of what we're able to do with this carbon product.
Tell us a little more about your business. You come across someone who's clearing land or has this waste. Is your business more on the front end doing them a service, or is it on the back end selling the biochar, or both?
I'm very privileged to have a really great team, from science to engineering to farmers to blue collar, green collar workers to university partners. So I like to tell everybody we're a bunch of dogs. Throw a bone, say fetch, we'll go get that bone, come back with our tail wagging. So we have on the front end, we're able to utilize this technology. We have another 100 tons of heavy duty equipment for the land clearing. We were originally in Citrus Grove, so a lot of that is still doing land clearing. And then on the back end, we create this in product, which is the biochar. And this Tiger Cat, it's able to keep it at high temperatures to where we have a high organic carbon, 80%, high surface area, no heavy metal detection. So we're actually OMRI listed too. So we're the only OMRI listed producer in the state for biochar. We try to do both ends of the coin. And the way to really make it work out is to partner with somebody already doing land clearing that might have bottlenecks in the hauling or the chipping, or needs an excavator. And then we will come in and we're able to utilize the back end to support the front end. So it's not only sustainable, but it's economical for the partners that we work with as well. And then the last thing is we recently opened up our carbon yard. So then we'd have wood come in. It's cheaper than taking it to a landfill. Landfills are about $65 per ton. We're just doing it per truckload at a lower rate, just so we can get the wood, help out the local tree servicing guys, because a lot of the wood waste sites in Central Florida, Highlands County as an example, are at capacity. We are excited to say that our retail market should be launched by the end of April. So we'll sell by the quart, the 1.5 cubic yard bag, by the tote, which is 1 yard, or super sack, which is 2 yards, dump trailers, and then the larger scale, walking floors and whatnot. But we partner with a lot of the soil blending companies around the state too. Reliable Peat, they have some of our material. Life Soils has some of our material. Our biggest bottleneck is not making enough of it.
So, what are some of the big challenges that you have running a mobile biochar unit?
The production of it is something that I wish we can just have more of. The reason why biochar is not everywhere is because it's capitally intensive, and it's also not the easiest thing to make. While forestry has been super supportive, they don't know how to describe it. So if there's a burn ban and I'm on the phone with them in the morning and I'm explaining that this is a patented carbonizing technology, it's a 45-ton machine, they're like, that's great, but I'm sure you'll be good tomorrow. And so that's a whole day of no production. It's also the first of its kind. So when the mechanics come to fix something, they're communicating with Canada, where Tiger Cat's located, and it's pretty intense. But you got to have a great operating crew, and you just got to make as much material as you can, as fast as you can, with the machinery that you got before you can get more machinery.
Do you have any kind of real world examples of where things are been helped by biochar?
Some of the best ones are the ones that you don't expect. I gave some to my neighbor next door, and he said his onions are the size of watermelons. And I'm like, I need a review of that. The bamboo guys that did it for the trial are blown away by the differences in the sizing of the bamboo. When we had our carbon credit team out here a month ago, we went to tour some of the old sites we were at, the citrus groves. And it's like what we were talking about with the soil. Like Central Florida's ridge is 90% sand, meaning 90% of what you're applying is going to be gone in 90 days.
Yeah.
And we went back the whole 150 acres. There's probably a big old long strip of green grass where we were moving the biochar in and out of. But we would love to get some more trials in the ground with some real data. If you're looking to get into it, the best way is to reach out to us through our website, www.biotechappliedresearch.org or barbiochar.org. If you're trying to make it yourself, I recommend biocharonSite.org. Really fun group. They do webinars. They talk about the hurdles of like some of the kiln technology that you can use. I mean, there's a group in Zoffo. It's an elderly couple that dig a pit, put bamboo in it, light it up, and then throw dirt on it at the end of the day with water, and then they make their own biochar. So it is a very old technology. If the ancient Mayans can do it, like we probably be able to do it in the same processes that they do.
I just love the fact that this is all to improve our soil.
You go up other places, especially up north, you've got extremely clay, rock, or granite. That's going to hold moisture and nutrients a lot more than here. But there's a lot of places that are arid and dry, California, Arizona, where all that stuff's just going to wash out. And that's where I think biochar is huge for Florida, right? We use it as much as we can because we are extremely sandy soil where we're at, and there's very few places in Florida that aren't. With all the mandates and homeowners associations, if they made some kind of rule that said you have to mix some biochar in with your True Green has to have some, that helps a lot of the water pollution in these big communities that are coming in and just putting Scott's turf builder everywhere, and it's just washing away.
There is a new stormwater rule that came out in December 28th of 2025 that is really restricting outflow of phosphorus from development projects. I was talking to a very large gas station developer last week. Infrastructure costs increased 20 to 30%. The state's really cracking down, and the state has to crack down on something like this. It's not because it's something they want to get done. It's because it's a problem.
It's sitting right there. Like you said, there's just piles and piles of brush and mulch and waste wood everywhere. And if it can help the environment and help some costs, it only makes sense. What do people do if they want to either get involved in what you're doing or help you out? How do they help you out?
You say it makes sense, and we agree it all makes sense, but how do we make it make dollars and cents, right? As a 501c3 that has tax deductible, opportunities attached to it, we do have a donation page. Whether you want to do $25 and support a soil test or, $1,000 and support a whole land clearing opportunity. We have a lot of side projects that can use funding. Fort Lauderdale's Socks for Docs program with Nova Southeastern. And Residents for Resilience. If you wanted to just do a showcase for your local school or build a community garden, I'm sure we can all collaborate on that. I would say reach out on the website and just take a look and make sure to subscribe.
So, Zach, I know you are on the job site. Can maybe you show us your machine and how it makes the biochar?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So, Zach, I see you're on location there. I know you're in Hudson, Florida. So can you tell us about the location and the machines that you're using today?
Yes, ma'am. So as you can see here, this was actually used to be a forest of Florida, 18,000 tons of wood biomass here, pine and oak. And what we had the privilege of doing with Miller & Sons, land clearing company that we have a partnership with, is we come on site with our TigerCat 6040 carbonizer. So it's a 45-ton yellow tank that can eat through approximately 15 tons of woody biomass per hour. And what you see popping out of the conveyor is what we produce, which is the biochar that we've been talking about. That's tough. He's one of the technicians. He's also the water boy, making sure that water is the most important thing that we have in this project. And then we have Cameron in the excavator. And you can see, I mean, it's 2,000 degrees inside of there, but there's no smoke being emitted, which is what gives us a lot of capabilities and really tight-knit environments, right along Hudson Avenue. And this is what we're dealing with.
What powers the heat in that thing?
Great question. One of the best things about this machine is it uses about 2 gallons of diesel fuel per hour. So once you get it lit, being that it's so hot inside of it, it has a vortex type of system where wind's pushing down inside the top and then wind's pushing up from the bottom. So it traps all the volatile matter inside of it so that it can't escape. And that heat is what powers the machine. And these things can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We just don't have the permissions to do that yet in Florida. But that's what we're trying to do with some of the support from like Senator Trunow and Senate President Auburn and Department of Forestry, because they don't know how to categorize this. And they categorize it as an air curtain incinerator. And I like to explain to them that comparing this to an air curtain incinerator, it's a lot like comparing a bike to a car when describing a vehicle. They'll both get you to the same place, but they have a pretty big different price tag. And it's the same concept here. So being that we're the first ones in the state that have it, we just have to educate them on what it is and invite them to the job site. And they've been awesome to work with, and they're actually pretty excited about it too.
So this is new technology.
This is serial number 11, and it's the first in Florida, probably the first in the Southeast. And actually, air curtain incineration has been around since the 90s. FDEP actually really encourages them after hurricanes with natural disasters because we have so much wood that it kind of creates bottlenecks in local infrastructure. This is a carbonizing process that TigerCat, the manufacturer, has patented. We shear the wood with this one. This is an excavator that has a shear like an eagle's beak on it.
Okay.
And what it does is with some of these bigger pieces of wood, it'll go in and break it down so that the air that's been trapped inside of the wood can be released, and it kind of just lets it breathe more.
Okay.
And then after that, it'll eat this whole log. So you don't need to chip it, which is one of the benefits behind this is because when you're chipping material, if you are in a job site and you can't burn, you have to chip it, grind it, and then haul it out. Imagine hauling out 10 semi trucks of wood chips and selling that for pennies on the dollar versus hauling out 2 trucks of biochar and selling that for more than all the wood chips combined.
What is the average amount of biochar that you are finished with on a project like that? Would it be like 3 or 4 of those trailers behind you?
We're still trying to optimize this feedstock. Pine and oak, way different from citrus, way different from cypress. Citrus is actually our best output. We probably have 3 trailers at this time today because it's so dry. It's 10% moisture, and it's like has a smaller diameter. Whereas the cypress trees, they are 100% moisture, so it all just evaporated. And now we're learning how to work with the pine and the oak wood. And the number one recommendation from TigerCat is small amounts of wood less often. So you don't want to be overfeeding the machine. That's what causes oxygen to get inside the machine. And what he's doing now is just pushing down to break down the wood inside of it because it's so dense, being that it's pine and oak, that it takes a long time for it to combust.
And anything else you want to talk through on the machinery side at this point?
We need more. So if anybody wants to buy us one, they're more than happy to. And we will write you a tax donation or give you free biochar for life. And excited to get a mobile fleet that we can use, because as we all know, there's 120 acres of agriculture land today that we're losing in Florida, according to the University of Florida. And we're burning it all. So why not capture that carbon and restore our water and our soil and absorb CO2 out of the atmosphere while we're at it?
What approximate price tag does one of those run? I bet you it's pretty high.
About $1 million. Financing is great. It's not about what you have, it's about what you can borrow, according to Walt Disney. And we're grateful for John Deere and all the other groups, Farm Credit, for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Zack, for your final thoughts, what would you like the folks to remember about this podcast, about biochar, and about your business there?
Really appreciate everybody's time. Really encourage people to reach out and get curious about what type of waste streams they can kind of recreate into a sense of renewal, not only for themselves, their families, for their community. Be supportive and optimistic about the present and the future. Get involved, reach out. Love to collaborate. Thank you.
And that's about all we have for this episode of Modern Farming.
Thanks for listening to Modern Farming Podcast. Be sure to follow us, share, and join us again as we grow in the knowledge about the world that feeds us.